Good evening and welcome to the clinic. My name is Dr. Late Night. It's wonderful to see you again. So I see that you are here for an IQ test tonight, right? You're one of our subjects for that study. Wonderful. Well, I appreciate you very much signing up to be a volunteer. I just have a few basic questions for you, and then we will proceed with the exam if that's okay. Perfect, okay. So what is your full name, please? Okay, and how old are you? Great. What is your exact date of birth? Okay. Alright, and have you ever taken an IQ test before of any kind? Okay. If so, do you remember it being particularly challenging or easy for you? Alrighty. Okay, well, just a very quick disclaimer before we begin. Not everybody who gets these questions right or wrong is intelligent or unintelligent. This is testing specific critical thinking skills, problem solving, but it is not an indication of your value or intelligence as a person. Yes, the IQ tests tend to have a lot of holes in them, so to speak, so it's not the most important thing in the world. Okay, I just tell everybody that before because if you find these challenging, I don't want you to think that it reflects poorly on you at all. Absolutely, okay. Alrighty, so we will begin now. I have some sequence questions for you, odd one out questions, and then we will move on to some, I guess we'll call them visual puzzles of sorts, okay? Alrighty. So the first test that I have for you is some equations and sequences of numbers, and what your goal is to just fill in whatever value should be in place of the question mark. So we will begin with the first one, okay? 5 plus 7 plus what equals 20? Okay, alright, and I will give you just a few moments to think about that. Do you have your answer? Of course, so 5 plus 7 is 12, okay, and 12 plus 8 equals 20, so the question mark would be an 8. Very good, okay. If you do find these easy, you're looking for something a little more challenging, don't worry, that is what is to come, okay? This is just a bit of a warm-up, let's say. So I would like you to figure out now what the question mark indicates in this sequence of numbers. Okay, so we have 2, 4, 8, question mark, 32. So what number do you think fills in the question mark? And I'll give you a moment to think on it. Do you have your answer? Yes, so the correct number would be 16, as each time the number is doubling, okay? So our final number sequence here yes, that's correct. Okay, so it is 1, 4, 9, 16, question mark, 36. Okay, so you're trying again to find the value of the question mark. I'll give you a moment to think on that. What do you think? Do you have an idea? Any guesses? Great. So the question mark value would be 25. That is because we're squaring each number. So 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, and 5 squared is 25. Very, very good job. Okay. Alright, we're going to move on to the next batch of questions. So I have a couple more sequence type problems for you, or we call them odd one out. Okay. And then a little bit of a riddle, and after that I will show you the visual problems. Okay. Okay, so I have written here the next batch of problems. Okay, so this is called odd one out, and basically what your objective is to figure out which item in each of these groupings is the odd one out. Okay, some of these I feel are more intuitive than others. Maybe they could be debated a little bit, but I will give you the reasoning for why the test says that each one is the odd one out after you give your answer. Okay, so the first grouping is garlic, ginger, potato, and chili. Garlic, ginger, potato, and chili. So which one do you think does not fit with the others? I'll give you a moment to think. Do you have your guess? Okay. The answer is chili. Okay. And the reasoning that the test gives for this is because chili is more of a spice, a flavoring that you would add to something, whereas garlic, ginger, and potato are whole ingredients. Yeah, I would say this one is a little bit debatable. Maybe not as intuitive as the other two. Again, this is not an exact measure of your intelligence. I think that some of these are a little fishy. But nonetheless, I'm just here to record your responses. Okay. So the second grouping is spider, butterfly, mosquito, and roach or cockroach. Spider, butterfly, mosquito, cockroach. I'll give you a moment to think. Do you have a guess? Okay, the answer is spider. Now the reasoning for this is because the other three are insects. They have 6 legs, whereas spiders are arachnids, so they have 8 legs. Okay, I feel like that one's a little bit more intuitive. Absolutely. Okay, and the final one, and then we will move on to one riddle and then a series of visual puzzles, I guess, and tests. Okay. So the last grouping is paper, wool, wood, and plastic. Again, paper, wool, wood, plastic. Okay, I'll give you a moment to think. Do you have a guess? Okay, the answer is plastic. Okay, the reasoning that the test gives for this is because it is an unnatural substance. Okay, so again, our answers are chili, spider, and plastic. Good, you did very, very well. Okay. Again, if you are finding this to be on the easier side, don't you worry, we are getting into some more challenging questions here. I feel like different people find different parts of the test more challenging. It's part of what makes us all unique. Okay. So, I'm going to write this down just so that you can read it over. Okay. Now this is the one, I guess, riddle of the bunch. Okay. So what your objective is going to be is to determine if this statement is true or false, okay? Just one moment. Okay, so again, your job is to determine whether what the board says is true or false, okay? There are true and false statements. It is a lie that this statement is false. I'll read it one more time. There are true and false statements. It is a lie that this statement is false. Is this true or false? Quite the brain teaser, isn't it? There are true and false statements. It is a lie that this statement is false. Yeah? Do you know if it's true or false? Alright, I'll give you the answer in 3, 2, 1. This is true. So, there are true and false statements. That is true, right? So therefore, it is a lie that this statement is false. Does that make sense? This is quite the little brain teaser, isn't it? I had to read over it a couple times myself at first. Okay. Now I'm going to erase this. And we will move on to the images. Okay. And there are a variety of different problems ahead. It's normal to think that some are easier than others. Everyone's going to have a different opinion on how easy or challenging these are, just based off of life experience. Okay. So, I'm going to bring this one up close to you, okay? So what you need to do, your objective, is to move one match to make this statement correct, the sum correct. okay? So as you can see, it currently says 6 plus 4 equals 4, which we know does not make sense, right? So as you can see, I'm going to bring it close. There are little matchsticks here. So that's one matchstick, there's another, there's another, there's another. There are also matchsticks composing the plus and minus signs, okay? So your objective is to move one matchstick and make this statement true, okay? You can remove any one and put it anywhere, but you must end up with the same amount of matchsticks as you started. You can't just remove one. You have to move it somewhere else, okay? So I want you to just soak this in, take a good look at it. I'm going to give you one small hint. There are two different solutions to this problem, okay? I'm going to give you a few moments just to observe it. Do you think you have any guesses? This one can be a toughie for sure. What do you think? Are you ready for the answer? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and tell you the answers now. So the first thing that you can do, right, to make this a correct statement is to take this matchstick and put it right here, okay? So what you're doing is transforming the 6 into a 0, right? So 0 plus 4 equals 4. That would make it a true equation, okay? Did you get that one? Yeah, okay. And I'll show you the second one, alright? So what you can also do is take this matchstick right here, turning this into a minus sign, and place the matchstick there, okay? So you're transforming this into an 8, and this into a minus sign. 8 minus 4 equals 4, okay? Was that tough for you? Honestly, it took me a little while to look at it, so I totally get it if that was a challenge, but you did very well, okay? And we're going to move on to the next one. Again, these are all different and all interesting. I think it's so fascinating, the tests that we give in order to try to quantify intelligence. Okay. So your next problem here is you are supposed to determine which word is the odd one out, okay? So kind of like our test earlier with the odd one out, but the logic behind it is different, okay? So I'm going to give you a minute to observe this. Try to figure out what it's getting at. Okay. Snug, dam, pans, keep, rats, trap, grid, and live. Which one do you think is the odd one out, and why? This one took me a little while to figure out, so I'm going to give you some time, okay? Do you have any guesses? I'll give you a little hint, okay? The meaning of these words is irrelevant, okay? You're looking at the spelling and the structure more so. What do you think? Okay, I'm going to give you the answer, and then I'll give you a few moments to try to figure out why the answer is what it is, okay? So the odd word out is grid. Grid, okay? So I'll give you just a few more moments to try to figure out the logic behind that. Do you have it? Are you ready for the answer? Okay. So the answer is grid because it is the only word that does not spell another word backwards, okay? So for example, snug is guns, damn is mad, pans is snap, keep is peak, live is evil, trap is part, and rats is star. But grid, derg is not a word. Okay. You did well with that one. How are you doing so far? Do you think this is challenging? Are you whizzing through? Okay. The next one is actually a bit of a riddle as well, okay? But it's not a brain teaser in the same way that the true-false statement was, okay? So, try to figure this out. You can throw me off a tall building and it won't hurt me. But if you put me in water, I break. What am I? I'm going to get another magnet to keep this down here. Okay. One more time. You can throw me off a tall building and I won't break. Or it won't hurt me. If you put me in water, I break. What am I? I'll give you a moment to think about that. What do you think? If you can throw it off a tall building and it won't hurt it, then it must be something either light or incredibly durable. Do you have any guesses? Are you ready for the answer? Okay, the answer is paper. So if you throw paper off a building, it'll just float right down unharmed. However, it breaks apart very easily when wet. Excellent. You did a very good job. Okay, we have, let's see, we have two more, it looks like, okay. This one I find to be very fascinating personally. So I hope that you enjoy it as well. Now, get my pointer here. You can see here that we have some train tracks. I'll get it nice and close to you. We have some train tracks, okay? And at the top of the train tracks we have a snake, okay? And at the bottom of the train tracks we have another snake. So your job is to determine which snake is the biggest, okay? I'm going to give you a moment to look at it. Get it up close there so you can see the snakes. What do you think? Which one is the biggest, do you think? Do you have a guess? Are you ready for the answer? It may just blow your mind if you haven't seen something like this before. Okay, so the answer is that both of these snakes are actually the same size. The reason that it doesn't look to be that way is because this is an optical illusion. Okay, so but if you line up the edge of each snake, you can't see very well here, but if you were to take a ruler and line each edge up, they're actually the same size. Isn't that nifty? Okay. Our final test. Okay. Are you ready? So, here is our final brain teaser, our question. So, here you see 3 matches. There are 3 matches. Can you make 4 without breaking one? Can you make 4 without breaking one? Okay, so I'm going to give you a moment to just observe this. What do you think? Can you make 4 without breaking one? Is it possible? 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. What do you think? If you're struggling, try to think outside of the box, okay? If there are 3 matches and you can't break one, but you have to make 4, then what must you do? Take a moment to think about it. Are you ready for the answer? This one is actually a bit of a trick question, okay? Let me get my marker here so that I can illustrate exactly what it means, okay? So, you're not actually trying to make 4 matches. What it means is to make the 4 symbol out of these 3 matches, okay? So how you would do that is do 1, 2, 3, and there's my poorly drawn 4, but that's what it means. So it's kind of trying to trick you, I guess. But you see how that's 1 match, 2 match, 3 match. Alrighty. That was our final IQ test. As you can see, obviously, IQ, whatever you achieve on this test, however well you do, not truly representative of how smart you are as a person. A lot of these are trick questions, or some of them I even feel like could be debatable depending on the exact question, right? So I'm going to input your answers into the system. I thank you so much for being a part of this study. And if you feel like you are up to the challenge in the future, I encourage you to come back and take more of these IQ tests. Absolutely, they're very good for the brain. They really make you think, even though sometimes the answers are a little ridiculous, I would say. Of course. We also find that the more IQ tests that people take, the easier they become for them to master. Right? Okay. Thank you so much for coming in. You did incredibly well tonight. Again, my name is Dr. Late Night. Please let me know if you ever need my services, cranial nerve exams, eye exams, the works. I am a doctor of all trades. Alrighty. Thank you so much for coming in tonight. I hope you have a great rest of your evening. Good night.